Always a sucker for a good standing stone. Let's do this. Pretty much like any of you, I absolutely hate throwing this stuff away. It has so much function for us as tabletop gamers. Cannot bring myself to throw it away. Even when friends say, do you want some? I almost always have to say yes, so I have now got a massive stockpile of this stuff. Although I have got some big plans for it. So between this and one of these, we're going to do some recycling. Come on, let's do it. So just mixed up a little bit of PVA and water, and then I'm going to take cheap kitchen towel. Now just to say, kitchen towel is probably my favourite go-to for rocky texture, but lots of people worry about the you know, this sort of embossed patterning in the paper, but honestly, buy really cheap kitchen roll, not the nice expensive stuff. Buy the really cheap stuff. That embossing will not survive the processes it goes through. And then, as you can see, I've just separated, in this instance, the two leaves. So just start taking some strips, coat the surface of your of whatever it is you're coating with for your rocky texture, and then drop it on and get some more PVA, and then just stab the kitchen roll down. You really want to stab it down because you want to get all these little sort of wrinkles, and just work around the whole thing piecemeal, tearing off little chunks, stick it down, get the wet brush with the PVA and just stab it in there. So here we go, it's all covered. It's nice and wet. So just set that to one side, leave it for 24 hours and it will be nice and rock hard. Excellent. A black spray base followed by this heavy brown burnt umber, and then mix a little of that with some yellow ochre for a mustardy colour before moving on to the engraving of the carvings. Now for this I use my pyrography tool, but you can use any hot nib tool such as a soldering iron. You just want one with a fairly fine point on it, that's the main thing. Carving complete. Just need to block them in with a really nice dark colour. For this I used a mix of burnt umber and black. Made sure it was quite runny so that it would definitely go down into those recesses easily. And I used a really old brush as well so that I could really jam the brush in there and emphasise the carved runes a little bit deeper, but without worry of ruining a good brush.
Once all that's dried, it's just going over with another dry brush. This one is white with a little warm yellow in there, just to give it a hint of heat. I wanted to escalate the mystical, magical sort of essence of these standing stones. So I took some hemp rope, which I untwined and then retwisted back together into thinner pieces. I then superglued this at a point on the stone and then just kind of wrapped it around the stone in an interesting array of rope work, so that I could then find a spot that would allow me to suspend a hanging stone from the main stone. So with that in mind, I sifted through my collection of slate chippings, found some suitable pieces, which a couple I wanted to reshape, so I superglued them together using the old bicarb of soda and superglue. And then it was just a case of attaching the suspended piece of rope to the stone, wrapping it around a little to get something that looked like it was tied on there. And there we go, that was that. A quick basing of PVA. I then added some grass tufts. Thanks Beard for giving me the heads up on making sure to PVA down my grass tufts. And then a little bit of garden grit from my basing supplies. Then a little touch of isopropyl just to help the PVA solution that then goes on after this to bond it all together and seal it nicely. Okay, so back to those ropes. Making up a dirty brown here with just another mixture of burnt umber and black again. And I'm going to use a small brush to just go in and around those ropes and just dirty them down. And it doesn't matter if the paint goes on the underlying stone, it will just help to age the area around the ropes on the stone. And then we'll follow up this again with a dirty green, which is just me adding some of this brown mix to a clean green, and go round again and just smudge some of this greens out into the stone to help impress the idea of microorganisms and lichens that stain and colour the rock in real life. I gave the now dry gritty base an undercoat of that brown, followed by a dirty green again, which was allowed to just sort of bleed into the underlying colour. And then to finish off, a quick and dirty dry brush of the same kind of light highlight colour that I used on the main standing stones themselves. Just lightly brushing over here and there just to pull out some of the feature of the grit, and we are done. Let's get on to some beauty shots.